the brand new Skoda Octavia RS IV. £1.83 or 72 inches in width. This Skoda Octavia is about 1.5 centimeters, and that's about the width of your thumb, wider than its predecessor. So that styling already makes the car quite visually present on the road, but when you combine that with the new RS design, what you have is a lot more dynamic. We lose the chrome round this front grille and replace it with black matte effect. And again, if you look at the bottom, instead of where on the standard Octavia you have a silver bar that slightly splits up that visual height, here 4.70 meters or 185 inches in length. From the side, the Octavia RS really takes on a bit of a life of its own. Now, this is the first place that you can really see the impact that the new powertrain has on the design of this car. Why? Well, traditionally RS design uses dynamic suspension that lowers the ride height, usually by around about 15 millimeters, which is around about the width of your thumb. On this car, however, the ride height is exactly the same as a standard Octavia, and the reason for that is because, of course, it has batteries underneath that need to be protected. What do you think about that? Well, it's difficult, isn't it? If you're going to produce something that wants to be a bit more sporty, you do need to make some type of a statement with the exhausts. But this one always really divides the audience. Tell me what you think. This being the hybrid model, it does of course have a smaller fuel tank, so 40 litres is what the petrol tank holds. This is of course where you can charge the car's batteries. What you are looking at is a 1.4 litre TSI petrol engine that produces 150 horsepower, and it has been twinned with an electric that features a 13 kilowatt hour battery powering an 85 kilowatt electric motor. That gives you a total system output of 245 horsepower and 400 newton meters of torque. That's all going to be paired with a 6-speed DSG gearbox. Because of the electric motors, that actually has 3 different clutches. That will give you a 0 to 100 time of 7.3 seconds and a top speed of 225 kilometers per hour. Well, you know what? Every time I look in the rear of one of these, I have to pinch myself just to remember that this is based on the same platform as the Golf. What you are looking at is 640 litres of load space. And if that sounds like a lot, it's because it is. That's 30 litres more than the car that went before. And this is the estate. If you get the coupe version, you can still have 600 litres of load in the back. So really, this is not the largest car that Skoda make within this sector. Obviously, you can have a Superb, and that's bigger still. But I really would have to think quite long and hard about what it was I needed to fit in the back of anything that won't go in the back of here. Well, I think everything about the RS speaks to it being more dynamic and more sporty, and you can see that right from the get-go of opening up the door. If you have a look at the door panel itself, there's a really nice inlaying of Alcantara here that just softens up the hard plastic on the speaker grille, so a nice mix and balance of materials, nicely set off by this new door handle. The seats here have been really nicely designed. These are the standard cloth ones that come with the RS, but there are available all Alcantara seats which you can have as an optional extra. Well, once you take a seat in the car, it delivers all the comfort and driving experience that you would expect. The driving position is really good. If you haven't seen the latest Octavia, I think what's going to come as the biggest shock to you is how much of the redesign has carried on through into the interior from the exterior styling. I think the word that ties all of this together is minimalism. Yes, you still have a standalone screen here, but it's been integrated in the least obtrusive way I think that you could do it. Brand new for the 4th generation of Octavia is this steering wheel. Really nicely delivered. As with the seat, you get the feeling that an awful lot of driver feedback has been put into making sure these controls are very well placed. If, by the way, you're wondering why our placement of this wheel is slightly unusual, that's because we're in a photography studio, so therefore the car is on rollers, and unfortunately the steering is currently locked. It is attention to detail. We like to have it the right way around, just to let any obsessive viewers know why it looks that way. Coming slightly further down, you can still see that continued feeling of minimalism coming through here to the gear selector. This is drive-by-wire, so it's only an electronic connection. I like the way that there's really nothing here that doesn't need to be here, and even the phone storage area here is very minimalistic, but still has nice deep ridges to keep your phone where it's supposed to be, and 2 very discreetly placed USB-C charging ports. Let's take a look in the back. Well, the big story, and I mean that quite literally, in the rear of the new Octavia is the additional legroom. There's an unbelievable extra 8 centimeters back here, or 3 inches, which is about that. So you can see there is absolutely stacks of space. That just about brings us to the end of our very brief look at the Skoda Octavia RS IV. Well, for me, it's all about the numbers, and those are the numbers that we have and the numbers that we don't. Currently, we don't have pricing yet on this model, but I think if you look at comparative pricing for the previous generation, you shouldn't be looking at a massive uplift. The key thing with Skoda and their offerings are they really do go to an awful lot of trouble to make sure that really whatever you want in whatever combination, whatever level of affordability is something you can get to. The RS is a slightly different animal. They aim to very well equip this car from the get-go, which is why when you just take a blank look at pricing, it can look like it's a very significant uplift on the base model entry price. But don't forget, if you were buying a standard Octavia, you would be more than likely to equip that. This is a very popular car. In Germany, 1 in every 5 Octavias that Skoda sell is an RS. So there's a big expectation on this car. It's interesting to me to think that standardly when you think RS, your first thoughts are all about performance. Your first thought with this car, a hybrid, brand new within the lineup, is going to be about efficiency and performance. So we're going to have to wait a little frustratingly longer in order to find out how well that delivers once you get it out on the road. There is certainly an awful lot of technology here, but also an awful lot of promise. I do miss the little bit of ride height adjustment slightly, but I hope I would be too busy enjoying driving everywhere on pure electric to really let that bother me particularly. Yes, I know, fake exhaust, not everybody's cup of tea, but I like the way that they've gone to quite a lot of effort to put those in as discreetly as they can while still having them there for the people who like them. This then represents a bold statement in the future of the RS. Now, don't worry if you're a traditionalist. There will be a petrol and a diesel model following this up hot on its heels. We don't yet have the details of them, but don't worry, we will tell you all about them as soon as we do. Until then, I hope you've enjoyed taking a quick look behind the scenes at this car. If it drives as well as it looks, then I think it could be a really big plus to the lineup. That's it from us for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any comments or questions, please pop them below. Please subscribe, and we hope we'll see you again soon.